What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of George Reviews. I am the 80s Transformer fan. Today on George Reviews, I'll be taking a look at my second McFarlane DC Multiverse figures ever. Actually, there are two of them in front of me. It is the gold label variant Armored Darkseid versus the standard Darkseid. Both these figures are from the 2021 Snyder Cut. When I first went looking for these figures, I found Darkseid and Steppenwolf, the standard version, and then like a week later I found the armor version, and I was going to take the standard version back until I found out something about the armor version that I didn't know, and I'll get into it in this review. And here is the two figures that are the subject of this review in this very large window box packaging. I'm going to focus on the unarmored standard version. You can see Darkseid in the package within with some like comic book artwork in the back of the box. He comes with one accessory, which is his spear, and it's a very unusual spear, don't know much about it, and a display stand and a collector's card. And clearly you can see Darkseid has Darkseid down here, DC Multiverse. JL 2021. Back of the box has a scene from the movie and has all the figures in this wave that you can collect and buy. And switching over to the gold label variant, you can see Darkseid is armored up, the exact same pose within the packaging, and disappointingly the exact same accessories. I'll get to that. He has a different collector's card, or a different version of the collector's card in the back. We'll take a look at that. And the reverse of the box is done in black and white. The exact same figures you can collect. Up here it just says Darkseid Armored versus just Darkseid on this side. Same thing follows throughout both boxes other than that. And I'm going to unbox. This is a channel where I unbox if you're just watching for the DC figure. Sort of what we do here. Darkseid out of the box. I didn't get all the tape. Let's get Darkseid out of this box. That wasn't easy. And peel off his card. Man, they got it in there pretty damn good. Behind the card is a green label, is a Green Lantern comic book cover with a few other comic book covers throughout the years from DC. Here is the card within, the same picture from the back of the box, collector's card. And he has a bit of a bio on the back. It says Darkseid Justice League data file. Source Justice League Director's Cut Film 2021. Real name Euxis. The ultimate oppressor Darkseid, lord over the nightmare planet Apocalypse. Rules through force and intimidation. One of the most powerful characters in DC Comics. The evil despot can shoot deadly rays from his eyes known as Omega Beams. Seeking to eliminate all free will from the universe, Darkseid has conquered a multitude of worlds with his sights now set on Earth. Yeah, we didn't learn anything new right there. Well, I guess we learned, I never knew his real name. Anyway, that's that. He has the display base. Man, that was a chore. There's that. And his weapon. And Darkseid himself. He's a big boy. Alright, Darkseid is a huge figure. I'm going to have to get a tape measure on him to see how big he is. Let's see if I can get him into a normal stance. Get him out of his package stance. His joints feel pretty stiff. Arms. Man, he's like a hulking type guy. I can't really get those arms down any more than that. There's something stuck in here. Look like there's something stuck in here. Is that like glue? There's some type of, you can see that residue. I think that's some drippage from the glue from his neck armor or whatever this is. But he is a tall figure. I'm having trouble getting him in. I'll try to get his feet balanced first. Get him to stand up. Then there's a this little armor on his legs. Immediately I notice it moves separately than his calf, so I'm trying to line up his kneecap and the armor at the same time to get his leg straight. A little weird. And this ankle on his foot. Man, it's a tight ankle. I don't want to break the dang on thing. Yeah, I guess we got him in a good standing position. Then we just get him all in frame here. He is a tall guy. And the cool thing about him, they've made the plastic on his skin look just like the CGI of the movie. It doesn't just look like toy plastic. It looks like how the CGI look with like the different color textures and just the look of the plastic overall. It looks just like the CGI from the movie. A lot of detail on this figure. Let's start with his face first. He looks just like the traditional Darkseid from comics and older toys. Instantly recognizable as the DC #1 baddie. And looks just like the movie version he was in. Look at his eyes. His eyes are done in like a yellow, then ever so slightly trimmed in a red. Then he has like the little black shadowing around underneath the eyebrows and around the eye sockets. It looks real good. Look at his face. Just look at that detail on his head. He looks great. His armor on the body is like, it's glued on and it's a softer, pliable plastic, almost like a rubber. And I don't know if it's the same on the back because this is glued on so tight that you really can't wobble it around, but it kind of feels like, well, it's a little bit harder. Coming down to, what is this, his tunic. Has this little separate flap right here. Just like barely holding on. Look at that. Man, this is going to be the first thing that comes off on all these figures. Any kid playing with this is going to be the first thing gone. In 20 years, they'll be looking for a completed Darkseid with butt flap. The side of the armor is all one piece. This is all one piece except for this. And then the leg armor. This is molded in and just painted blue, like this, the metallic blue. And these are a plastic cover down here. It's not the same mold. And it has enough room to twist it around, which is not kind of good. They should have glued that down or just molded it in. And his feet are all blue plastic. It has the toe hinge. And it's not, other than the paint that looks like it's woven into the plastic. I don't know if this is like a wash over it. Kind of looks like it's embedded in the plastic to me. There's not a lot of paint apps going on other than his face. And the same thing there is just the wash and then what I described earlier. And the little blue helmeted piece, this is a separate plastic. Which, if you chose to, you probably could get it off. And coming down to his chin piece, yeah, this is, all of this is a separate piece because I can kind of move it a little bit. If you want to take it off, you probably could. Ooh, we don't know what's under. Yeah, we do know what's under there. You don't want to take that off. There's a little joint in there. And it looks thin and fragile. You see that? It almost looks like there's a stress mark on mine. Man. So anyway, let's do Darkseid's articulation. Darkseid head we just saw is on that funny little peg ball joint system. We can 360 his head. He can look up ever so slightly. He can look down a lot. And he should have a little bit, yeah, he has a lot of side to side with his head. Get him in a few different silent expressions. Coming to his arm, shoulder joint comes up this far. There's a hinge underneath that. It rotates in 360s on that joint. It's not as stiff as a lot of the rest of the figure is. Which a guy this size, you kind of might want to have him pick somebody up. You want to know that his arms can hold, which I would like that joint a little bit tighter. He has a bicep swivel. Get a full 360 out of it, and a lot of detail in the reverse side of his arms. A lot of detail on this figure, period. He has an elbow hinge right here. He can allow this range of motion. Coming down to his wrist, he has a wrist hinge and it actually has some little teeth on it for some ratcheting, but it doesn't ratchet really that strong, and maybe they should have put that joint in the shoulder. And it 360s at the wrist. No finger articulation to speak of. He has his hand in almost a pre-clenching gesturing motion. The other hand is a closed fist, but I'm pretty sure the same articulation follows over to this closed fist or clenching fist, grabbing fist, holding fist, 360 with wrist articulation. His waist or midsection has this, so I guess this is a crunch. We can get something out of that. Get your arm out of the way, Darkseid. And he can rear back like that, so that is cool. It rocks side to side. And to his lower waist, he actually has some articulation down here. You can actually see into his bottom half. He can turn at the actual waist. So, man, I was not expecting both. So that is cool. Get his arms up, come to his legs. He can get his front leg this far. It's hitting on the armor. And you really don't want to stretch it and have some of this stuff come off, like back here. And to the back, which I don't know why. I guess to get it back this far, but it seemed like, yeah, I mean, that's going to be dangerous right there. He has a separate trunk piece under here, a separate molded plastic that I didn't go over earlier. And let's check out his knee. And it's stiff. It's like some joints are super tight. Yeah, oh, look at the ratchet in there. So you can get this much motion out of his knee. And he has a hidden boot cut right here. That if you wanted to, try the 360, but the armor's coming around. But you probably get 360 out of it if you forced it. And this ankle, man, the ankle, some joints are way over tight. And kind of scare me. So you can move that up and down, and really doesn't feel like it rocks. Guess if you turn it, you can get it some rocker out of it. And he has a toe articulation. And this has always been cool, but kind of unnecessary most of the time. You know, it's kind of cool they put that in there. And for his solo accessory, unless you're one of the people that count the stand. And when I got my flat, I reviewed the flash from this line, and the stand barely fit in his foot. I hope this fits better. And it does immediately. Okay. So you don't have to struggle with your figure. You could just put him on the stand and he will stand up. Just like that. And his one accessory is, I don't know if this is some type of weird I guess it's not a trident because there are 4 blades at the end. We can get this in his hand if we can. He has the one open hand and the gripping hand. And that's another thing. Where are the interchangeable hands for a guy like this? And some people might say, well, he really didn't do a lot in the movie, but grip this thing. But I still would have liked some interchangeable. And his hand is so damn hard. I mean, it is really hard. I hope I don't break this thing trying to get it in his hand. I mean, break the fingers, not the staff. Oh, anyway, let's take a look at the staff. The staff is a gray plastic with like a weathered wash all over it. It looks pretty cool. It looks 100% movie accurate as well. But back to his hand. Let's see if I get it in his hand. Man, it's a good thing it's pliable. I had to force that thing in there. And there it is in his hand. This arm, this bicep, is so stiff on this right arm. Oh, here it is. I had to break it to get it to move. And actually, a little piece of plastic chipped off. You see, I keep dropping. I'm trying to pick it up and put it on camera. But this little piece of plastic chipped off when I got it to move. Whew, a little bit scary. And it's one hell of a good-looking figure. It almost looks like a statue. And I've complained about some of McFarlane's DC figures and how they look over-designed. But this movie guy in Darkseid, the statue look actually fits him perfectly to me. And there you go. You can get him wielding it with both hands. And, man, because of the stiffness, I want to try to get him in a couple different poses. He's really stiff. You got to kind of work this thing around. Like, oh, this leg, oh, the entire right side. It's stiff, but the articulation is there to get this guy to do some really nice poses. I just wish he came with an alternate head and some extra hands, especially at this guy's like $40. Twice the price of a regular DC figure. And I don't think the problem is that he can't stand. It's my figure, like some of, and it probably all the figures across the board, like just some of the joints are over tight, and then you got a equal opposite joint on the other side that's like loose or a lot more free moving, and that kind of like jacks it up a little bit. But you can get them to stand, you can get them to pose, and probably without the stand, because If it's anything like the Flash, the stand really doesn't help. Yeah, you can get him to stand without the stand, as you can see here, but you just got to kind of learn the joints, which joint is loose, which joint is tight, and where to put the legs and everything, and get them in a more dynamic pose. And you can even pull off the movie pose without the stand. So he is a pretty solid figure. Now let's get the gold label variant out here, and let's check out the differences. Alright, so here is the, I think it's a Target exclusive. I know I got mine at Target, and I think it was like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive as well. And this bicep is super hard too. I wanted to go straight to it. It's almost like it's glued, and it looks like this one is fused. Actually does. Looks like mine is fused. Can you see that? Oh man, I can't move this one at all. All right, that one moves just fine. And on both of these, the right bicep is like it's fused. All right, I'm really trying to get this to move, and it's not working. I'm gonna try some hot water, and if that doesn't work, blow dryers, a little bit of heat. All right, while trying to unfuse his arm, the arm popped out. It is on a ball joint. He's kind of made like a builder figure. You normally don't see figures of this size and classification with pop-out joints unless they're like made to be some type of builder figure. But here's the arm that came out. Actually, it took a lot of effort. I had to get the water to a boil and let it sit for a few minutes to get the arm to rotate the bicep. I have not tried to put it back in yet, and I'm going to do it right now. Switch to my stronger hand. All right, arm, and it is loose in that joint, much more loose than this arm over here. But it is back in, and while I was doing that, I discovered that this ankle ball joint, there's a ball underneath his armor, his leg armor down here. You can see it's still wet. It's still stiff, but this ankle was really froze. I was afraid I was going to break it, but I got it loose, and now I can continue the comparison of these two figures. Let's scoot them back. Before I finish off the figures, bring out the collector's card. Same card. One's just done in black and white, and I don't get that. They should have used the image of him from when we see him on Planet Apocalypse through like the little portal, but they didn't. Back of the data file remains the same. It's just done in black and white. Exact same figure stand, and from all appearances, the exact same staff. And now, since I'm on it, man, one of these guys should have came with a mother box, even though they didn't have it in the movie, but he could have had a mother box or alternate head. Gritting his teeth on one of these. They could have just changed it up a little bit instead of just the armor, but maybe we'll get that down the line. Maybe he'll milk it. Now, speaking of armor, the only difference that I can tell in these figures is the armor. That is it. One's armored, one's not armored. And the thing about that is, I thought this armor was removable, and I was going to take this guy back after I got my hands on the gold label. But it is not removable. I mean, you probably can work at it, but it's like, it's fused on here. Underneath here. You see it is coming up over the shoulders, under there. Or whatever, and it's not meant to come off. So, and that's kind of cool that they did that, because it makes it make more sense to buy either one, because otherwise you just buy this one and take it off. Just look for this one and then be done with it. But as far as a marketing standpoint, they got you to buy two figures, which I did. And I'm comfortable with it. I actually am. I mean, that's a lot of money. It's $80 worth of figure plus tax. 85, 90 bucks worth of figure. But I like Darkseid. I like this figure. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful sculpt. And let's get the staff in his hand. Really look at him. All right, here are the two figures with the staffs in their hand. And when I first saw these, I was like, I definitely want the armored version over the shirtless version. But having them in hand, I still like the armored version, but just the movie detail, for whatever reason in the movie, he had the Omega symbol just like molded into his chest. I don't know what that was about. But it looks so much like the movie that it is uncanny. I mean, he looks like CGI just jumped right out of the screen into a toy. in that respect, I think he's cooler. And I just wish we got more accessories. Wish the joints, like the shoulder joints, that I don't get that. Why the shoulder joints aren't stronger than what they are so he can pick up a figure. And speaking of figures, let's roll over into the size up and the rundown. Why here is next to DC Multiverse Flash, Marvel Legends Builder figure Juggernaut, G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Commander, Mattel DC Classic Superman, one more MP36 Megatron. Alright, I completely forgot to get a measurement on this guy's height. Couldn't find my measuring tape, so my son ruler will have to do. And he is just under 9.5 inches, which is right about 24 centimeters, depending on where you're from and how you do your math. Alright, one more look at these figures side by side, and these are two great figures. They look like statues that have been cut up for articulation. They look amazing. The only drawback to these figures are the problems in the various joints. While I was doing like a photo gallery, I tried to get some poses out of these guys, and some of the joints would just sag down where I tried to have them holding other figures and really couldn't pull that off. I kind of rigged it to pull some of the photos off. But that's my only real complaint are the joints. But my wish list, in every review I got a wish list. I wish we had got an alternate head with one of these guys, like maybe gritting his teeth. Maybe this one came with gritting teeth and this one had the stern look. Or maybe each of these guys could have came with alternate heads, period. Wish we could have got maybe a mother box, but I said that with Steppenwolf. Wish he came with a mother box or something like that. Just one more movie accessory. And I kind of wish, this guy being a variant, I wish he had came with a severed head from Steppenwolf with the battle damage where Superman cut off the horn and, you know, Wonder Woman beheaded Steppenwolf and he kind of stepped on it. That would have been so cool with him posed in a box instead of being the exact same pose as this guy with his foot on the head of Steppenwolf. That would have been so cool. I hope we do get that down the line somewhere. Maybe we might get a variant of Steppenwolf where he comes with both heads, the damaged head and the regular head. I didn't even bother to see if these heads pop off. I'm kind of scared too. I see it's a ball joint. Yeah, the heads come off. Here is the peg. Kind of should have did that early in the review, but here's the underside of the head, and it's really hot up. Man, this peg is really thin. It's kind of like, man, I can see it maybe breaking one day. But yeah, I wish they gave us that severed head from Steppenwolf with this variant. That would have been so cool. But other than that, these figures are awesome. I highly recommend them. If you see them, you're a DC fan, you like the Snyder Cut, and you're a Darkseid fan, you gotta have Darkseid in your collection. Best DC figure to date to me from McFarlane. I haven't opened a lot of mine, but this clearly takes the cake. Only rivaled by Steppenwolf with all the detail on Steppenwolf. Awesome pickup. You see them, grab them. With that, I want to thank you all for sticking around for another episode of George Reviews. The reviews of every toy has a story.